We spent Valentine's Day catching up with Luscious Jackson at the Fillmore Auditorium in Denver. Here's Joe's own luscious lass, Olga, speaking with Kate and Gabby.
That's Dr. Kate to you.
Dr.
And Dr. Gabby.
Dr. Kate and Dr. Gabby?
Yeah, we've actually gotten a degree in medicine while we've been on tour off the computer.
We're going to internet college. I have a PhD. It's hard because...
It's kind of gross.
It's kind of gross. And practicing all the surgical stuff while we're driving is hard. We take over the back lounge, and sometimes we forget to put paper down. It's kind of gross.
Did you guys go to college at all?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Did we graduate?
I did.
Everyone else did except me.
It's never too late.
Yeah, I don't know if I care about graduating. I don't know, degree's just not important to me, actually.
Yeah, it's not necessary. I think it's kind of a hype. Yeah, I mean, look at us. We're doctors, and we don't have a degree.
I know.
Have you ever dealt with freaky fans or some sort of harassment?
We've had like just a few instances where it seems like people are a little forward and they might give you some strange gift.
Remember that weird letter we got? That
Yeah.
I think every once in a while there's some bizarro thing. It's not so bad. I mean, I can't imagine for people who really have the stalking thing, like Sarah McLachlan had it really bad, and Madonna and all those people.
Yeah,
It's pretty intense. I mean, we're not at that kind of level of fame where we can't walk out our door.
You know, New York City's also like, I mean, at least when we're there, people aren't that impressed by someone who's somewhat known. You know, they might look at you like, oh, they know you. Or even growing up there, you'd see somewhat famous people, and it was just, oh, there's Yoko Ono, or there's
Patti Smith, and there's
Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah, Lou Reed.
Yeah, Lou Reed's around all the time.
Yeah, he's always walking around.
What's wrong with him?
What's the most difficult thing that you've had to deal with in this business?
For me, I am really shy sometimes, especially like in front of a camera. You know, I just go into instant geek. I just wish I was more comfortable with that stuff. So I get anxiety about that.
I think the most frustrating thing is when you do a body of work and then you do a record or a show, whatever, and then you have to kind of give it up to the powers that be to make it successful, be it
Very
label or radio or MTV or something. So you're always relying on unreliable entities
You realize
to
it's
further your career. And it can be really annoying and frustrating because they might not understand what you're doing or whatever. It's just...
It really kills
hard.
your soul, yeah.
We'll hear more from the Luscious ladies in a moment. That was Luscious Jackson with an exclusive Joe's remix of the song Nervous Breakthrough. Let's get back to our interview.
Being in the public eye, and I'm sure seeing all these magazines where there's emphasis on this really kind of small body, which is almost physically impossible to achieve. Have you guys ever felt pressure to look a certain way, be a certain size?
I personally haven't, because as far as feeling pressure, I mean, my mom raised me. She was
Gabrielle, you're beautiful.
Gabrielle, you're so beautiful. No, but she just, you know, she wasn't like really emphasizing on looks at all either way. There's definitely times when you're like, things are just so unsightly, and like when you have to bend over to like change the volume on an amp and you know that something's dangling or whatever, you know,
Dangling.
Well, yeah, the belly. Things get a little looser as you get older. And not to say you're not vain either. I mean, you want to look decent, but we don't care what other people look like and how we should look like them or magazines or anything like that.
So what do you think about the whole media representation on women?
Most women in the U.S. are size 14 or 16. Like, that's the majority of women in America are that size.
Because the girls growing up thinking they should be like that. Obviously, that's very common. But also, men grow up thinking that's what they want as a model. It's funny. You know, I know guys like that myself. You know, like, oh, I got a really nice girlfriend, but I want a young model. It's like, what kind of personality do you want from her?
I get upset when I see super, super skinny models or actors. Sometimes it makes me like have a physical reaction to it because it's just like, oh, I've just imagined like the torture they go through to maintain
that. They look
that
anorexic and they're trying to lose weight and, ascribe to the way the current trend is, and it's sad.
For more of Joe's exclusive interview with Luscious Jackson, you can visit joesgrill.com.
Right now, let's check in with our mistress of music, Olga, who is speaking with Kate and Gabby for today's featured interview with Luscious Jackson.
So growing up and going to these clubs and this sort of thing, is that what kind of inspired you to get into music?
My mom had great taste in music, so we had great records in the house. But then it wasn't until I was 13 where, I liked stuff on my own, like Patti Smith. And back then, it was a long time ago, Bruce Springsteen and Elvis Costello, that first record, and Jonathan Richman. Anyway, there was a lot of stuff that, when you like something on your own, you're like, wow.
Once I started going to see bands at clubs, I was like, wow, this is the scene for me. I hadn't really clicked with any other social scene until then.
So then you just promptly signed up for lessons? And
No, it was kind of punk rock time, so you didn't need lessons. You just learned a couple beats, started a band.
So how did you get into drums then?
I saw a female drummer, one of the first bands I ever saw, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then someone left a drum kit at my house, and I started playing on it. One thing led to another. I learned those 2 beats you need to know for the punk rock world. And next thing I knew, I was in a band.
Did you do any songwriting at all?
Not really. The times I attempted it, the results were so corny that I was like, I'm not even going to try anymore.
She will soon be coming out with a completely written, amazing record, Kate Schellenbach, with amazing drum solos that we've been begging her to do some drum solos. So soon to come.
Dr. Kate Schellenbach. Hair doctor.
Hair. Gotta roll your R's.
That's why I didn't do well in German, because I couldn't roll in my
So you took German in school or something?
I did. I took German and French. I was really bad, though. I had to cheat all the time. And
Well, I mean, that's what you do in school, isn't it?
I had this tiny little dictionary that was about this big that was like a German dictionary. That's the only way I made it through.
You would have been able to
I
go to
was
school.
really good at not doing any work and passing classes.
It's a talent in New York City.
It really is.
You go out a lot.
You spend more energy trying to pass without doing any work than actually doing the work.
We'll have more of our featured interview with Luscious Jackson in just a bit.
Hi, this is Gabby. And this is Kate.
And we're from Luscious Jackson. And you're tuned into Joe's Blue Plate Special.
Wow.
That was Fly from our featured band, Luscious Jackson. Now let's check back in with Olga, who's speaking with Kate and Gabby.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Wow, it's a very complicated question. I grew up just with my mom, and there's been this is an exclusive, because I've never talked about this before.
Dun, dun, dun.
But I think there are some people out there
There's some
that are related to me.
Gabby siblings.
There are some siblings, quite a few. Isn't that weird?
So one of the questions we always ask, how do you feel about major labels versus independent labels?
I think stuff is really changing a lot, and I think even in the last few years we've seen a shift away from major labels supporting smaller artists or artists that aren't selling 500,000 records or more. Now there's so much competition for people's money that record labels aren't really trying to give anyone a career. They're just looking for hits. And that's why you see these sort of manufactured groups or teen stars and all that
so
stuff.
many of them. Yeah.
So I think the indies will pick up some of that slack, and I think a lot of bands are getting dropped, and I think that's going to continue. And I think the internet labels and stuff like that are going to start taking off and hopefully change the business. It's interesting. We'll see what happens. So I think the internet will be sort of a decisive factor in the change.
I say that's a great answer there, Kate.
Thank you.
Thanks once again to Kate and Gabby of Luscious Jackson for coming on the Joe's Blue Plate Special today.